From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order Watch.
My fellow Americans, the year was 1962, a year unlike any other, a year where the world held its breath and history sharpened its focus. I stood in the Oval Office not merely as a president, but as a steward of peace in a time of peril. The Cold War was no longer theory, it was reality, and that reality reached its most dangerous edge in October of that year. Let me take you back. The Cuban Missile Crisis. On October 16th, I was briefed that Soviet nuclear missiles were being installed in Cuba, just 90 miles from our shores. The threat was clear. The stakes were existential. We were closer to nuclear war than the world had ever been. But in that crucible, America did not flinch. We did not leap to destruction. We chose resolve, backed by calm strength. Through intense diplomacy, a naval blockade, and firm messaging, we forced the Soviets to withdraw those weapons, and the world exhaled. It was not victory through violence. It was peace through pressure. And it taught us, and the world, that restraint is not weakness. It is wisdom in power's hands, civil rights and domestic progress. Back home, 1962 was a year of moral reckoning. The cries for equality grew louder. The courage of ordinary citizens, of James Meredith integrating the University of Mississippi, of students sitting in, marching, standing tall, reminded us that America was still becoming. I used the power of the presidency to move justice forward, federalizing troops when necessary, enforcing court orders, and challenging the nation's conscience. We were not yet where we needed to be, but we were moving step by determined step, the space race and national ambition. And amid these trials, we still looked up. In September, I spoke at Rice University. We choose to go to the moon in this decade, not for conquest, but for progress, to lead the world not with fear, but with discovery. That speech, and the investment behind it, symbolized a nation not afraid to dream big, even while danger loomed. We also made great strides in economics, education, and health, pushing legislation, supporting innovation, and asking the federal government to be not just a manager of systems, but an engine of hope. How I governed with a sense of urgency, because the world demanded it. But I also governed with humility. I listened to advisors, read dissenting opinions, consulted science, and considered the voices of the people, especially the young who would inherit the decisions we made. Above all, I believed that America's greatness lies not only in its arms or wealth, but in its ideals, in liberty, in justice, in leadership that bends toward peace. Now, as we continue this reflection, we will turn to the executive orders of 1962, the legal instruments of this vision. The orders I signed were not mere documents. They were declarations that America could be stronger, fairer, and more united. Stay with us. In the next segment, we will examine those executive orders, how they built upon crisis, served the common good, and shaped the America we continue to build today. Thank you, and let's carry on. Executive Order 10,965, establishing the President's Commission on Campaign Costs on January 11, 1962. Executive Order 10,966, establishing the President's Commission on Campaign Costs on January 11, 1962. Executive Order 10,967, establishing the President's Commission on Campaign Costs on January 11, 1962. Executive Order 10,968, administration of the Mutual Educational and Cultural Exchange Act of 1961 on January 15, 1962. Executive Order 10,969, amending the Selective Service Regulations on January 17, 1962. Executive Order 10,970, amending the Selective Service Regulations on January 18, 1962. Executive Order 10,971, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Florida East Coast Railway Company and certain of its employees on January 22, 1962. Executive Order 10,972, modifying Executive Order Number 10,865 on January 26, 1962. Executive Order 10,973, delegating authority to the Secretary of Defense to prescribe military decorations on February 6, 1962. Executive Order 10,974, establishing the President's Committee on Equal Employment Opportunity on February 12, 1962. Executive Order 10,975, establishing the President's Commission on Campaign Costs on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 10,976, establishing the President's Advisory Panel on Ethics in Government on February 21, 1962. Executive Order 10,977, inspection of income tax returns by the Senate Committee on the Judiciary on March 13, 1962. Executive Order 10,978, prescribing regulations for the administration of Title I of the Housing Act of 1949 on March 14, 1962. Executive Order 10,979, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between certain carriers represented by the Eastern Carriers Conference Committee and certain of their employees on March 20, 1962. Executive Order 10,980, establishing the President's Commission on Campaign Costs on March 22, 1962. Executive Order 10,981, establishing the President's Committee on Equal Employment Opportunity on March 23, 1962. Executive Order 10,982, further providing for the administration of the Agricultural Trade Development and Assistance Act of 1954 on April 25, 1962. Executive Order 10,983, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between certain carriers represented by the National Railway Labor Conference and certain of their employees on April 27, 1962. Executive Order 10,984, amending the Selective Service Regulations on May 4, 1962. Executive Order 10,985, establishing the President's Commission on Campaign Costs on May 8, 1962. Executive Order 10,986, inspection of income tax returns by the Senate Committee on the Judiciary on May 17, 1962. Executive Order 10,987, employee management cooperation in the Federal Service on January 17, 1962. Executive Order 10,988, employee management cooperation in the Federal Service on January 17, 1962. Executive Order 10,989, establishing the President's Committee on Equal Employment Opportunity on January 17, 1962. Executive Order 10,990, establishing the President's Committee on Equal Employment Opportunity on January 17, 1962. Executive Order 10991, amending Executive Order Number 10,988 on January 17, 1962. Executive Order 10,992, establishing the President's Committee on Equal Employment Opportunity on January 17, 1962. Executive Order 10,993, establishing the President's Committee on Equal Employment Opportunity on January 17, 1962. Executive Order 10994, establishing the President's Committee on Equal Employment Opportunity on January 17, 1962. Executive Order 10995, assigning telecommunications management functions on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 10,996, establishing the President's Committee on Equal Employment Opportunity on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 10,997, assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of the Interior on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 10998, assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of Agriculture on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 10,999 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of Commerce on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 10,100 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of Labor on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 10,101 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of Health, Education, and Welfare on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 11,002 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Postmaster General on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 11,003 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Administrator of the Federal Aviation Agency on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 11,004 assigning certain emergency preparedness functions to the Housing and Home Finance Administrator on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 11,005 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Interstate Commerce Commission on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 10,106 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of the Treasury on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 10,107 establishing the President's Committee on Equal Employment Opportunity on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 11,000 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of Labor on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 11,001 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of Health, Education, and Welfare on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 11,002 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Postmaster General on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 11,003 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Administrator of the Federal Aviation Agency on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 11,004 assigning certain emergency preparedness functions to the Housing and Home Finance Administrator on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 11,005 assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Interstate Commerce Commission on February 16, 1962. Executive Order 11,006 creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between Eastern Airlines, Inc. and certain of its employees on February 22, 1962. Executive Order 11,007 prescribing regulations for the formation and use of advisory committees on February 26, 1962. Executive Order 11,008 creating an emergency board to investigate dispute between the Akron and Barberton Belt Railroad Company and other carriers and certain of their employees on March 3, 1962. Executive Order 11,009, amending the Manual for Courts-Martial United States 1951 to implement Section 923A of Title 10 United States Code relating to prosecution of bad check offenses on March 16, 1962. Executive Order 11010, amending Executive Order Number 10,713 relating to the administration of the Ryukyu Islands on March 19, 1962. Executive Order 11,011, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Trans World Airlines, Inc. and certain of its employees on March 20th, 1962. Executive Order 11,012, providing for the performance of certain functions under Sections 1A and 1B of the Administrative Expenses Act of 1946 on March 27, 1962. Executive Order 11,013, creating a board of inquiry to report on a labor dispute affecting the maritime industry of the United States on April 7, 1962. Executive Order 11,014, delegating to the Secretary of Commerce functions with respect to participation of the United States in the New York World's Fair on April 17, 1962. Executive Order 11,015, creating an emergency board to investigate disputes between the Chicago and Northwestern Railway Company and certain of their employees on April 23, 1962. Executive Order 11,016, authorizing award of the Purple Heart on April 25, 1962. Executive Order 11,017, providing for coordination with respect to outdoor recreation resources and establishing the Recreation Advisory Council on April 27, 1962. Executive Order 11,018, increasing from 3 to 4 the number of Vice Chairman of the President's Committee on Employment of the Handicapped on April 27, 1962. Executive Order 11,019, amending Executive Order Number 10,873 to provide for an exception to the Inter-American Development Bank's immunity from suit on April 27, 1962. Executive Order 11,020, inspection of income, excess profits, estate, and gift tax returns by the Senate Committee on Armed Services on May 7, 1962. Executive Order 11,021, administration of the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands by the Secretary of the Interior on May 7, 1962. Executive Order 11,022, establishing this President's Council on Aging on May 14, 1962. Executive Order 11,023, providing for the performance by the Secretary of Commerce of certain functions relating to the Coast and Geodetic Survey on May 28, 1962. Executive Order 11,024, exemption of Alan T. Waterman from compulsory retirement for age on June 4, 1962. Executive Order 11,025, creating a board of inquiry to report on a labor dispute affecting the aircraft industry of the United States on June 7, 1962. Executive Order 11,026, amendment of Executive Order Number 11,025, creating a board of inquiry to report on a labor dispute affecting the aircraft industry of the United States on June 8, 1962. Executive Order 11,027, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the New York Central Railroad Company system and the Pittsburgh and Lake Erie Railroad Company and certain of their employees on June 8, 1962. Executive Order 11,028, transferring lands between the Clark and Mark Twain National Forests, Missouri, and adding certain lands to the Hiawatha National Forest, Michigan, on June 9, 1962. Executive Order 10,129, amendment of Executive Order Number 11,025, creating a board of inquiry to report on a labor dispute affecting the aircraft industry of the United States on June 13, 1962. Executive Order 11,030, preparation, presentation, filing, and publication of executive orders and proclamations on June 15, 1962. Executive Order 11,031, Quetico Superior Committee on June 19, 1962. Executive Order 11,032, amendment of Executive Order Number 5,952 of November 23, 1932, as amended, prescribing the Army ration on June 19, 1962. Executive Order 11,033, creating an emergency board to investigate disputes between the American Airlines, Inc. and certain of its employees on June 20, 1962. Executive Order 11,034, administration of the Mutual Educational and Cultural Exchange Act of 1961 on June 25, 1962. Executive Order 11,035, management of federal office space on July 9, 1962. Executive Order 11,036, administration of the Agricultural Trade Development and Assistance Act of 1954 as amended on July 11, 1962. Executive Order 11,037, amendment of Section 12 of Executive Order Number 6,260 of August 28, 1933, as amended on July 20, 1962. Executive Order 11,038, continuing in effect. Executive Order Number 10,945 of May 24, 1961, relating to the administration of the Export Control Act of 1949, as amended on July 23, 1962. Executive Order 11,040, extension of the President's Commission on Campaign Costs on August 3, 1962. Executive Order 11,040, creating an emergency board to investigate dispute between the Belt Railway Company of Chicago and certain of its employees on August 6, 1962. Executive Order 11,041, continuance and administration of the Peace Corps in the Department of State on August 6, 1962. Executive Order 11,042, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Southern Pacific Company, Pacific Lines, and certain of its employees on August 10, 1962. Executive Order 11,043, creating an emergency board to investigate dispute between the Pan American World Airways, Inc. and certain of its employees on August 14, 1962. Executive Order 11,044 Interagency Coordination of Arms Control and Disarmament Matters on August 20, 1962. Executive Order 11,045 Discontinuing the Guam Island Naval Defensive Sea Area and Guam Island Naval Airspace Reservation on August 21, 1962. Executive Order 11,046 authorizing award of the Bronze Star Medal on August 24, 1962. Executive Order 11,047 delegating certain authority to the Secretary of Defense and the Administrator of the Federal Aviation Agency on August 28, 1962. Executive Order 11,048 Administration of Wake Island and Midway Island on September 4, 1962. Executive Order 11,049 providing for the carrying out of the Public Works Acceleration Act on September 14, 1962. Executive Order 11,050 creating an emergency board to investigate disputes between the REA Express and certain of its employees on September 14, 1962. Executive Order 11,051 prescribing responsibilities of the Office of Emergency Planning and the Executive Office of the President on September 27, 1962. Executive Order 11,052 cotton textiles and cotton textile products on September 28, 1962. Executive Order 11,053 providing assistance for the removal of unlawful obstructions of justice in the state of Mississippi on September 30, 1962. Executive Order 11,054 creating a board of inquiry to report on certain labor disputes affecting the maritime industry of the United States on October 1, 1962. Executive Order 11,055 inspection of income tax returns by the House Select Committee on Small Business on October 9, 1962. Executive Order 11,056, assigning to the Civil Service Commission certain authority with respect to federal salaries on October 11, 1962. Executive Order 11,057, authorization for the communication of restricted data by the Department of State on October 18, 1962. Executive Order 11,058. Assigning authority with respect to ordering persons and units in the ready reserve to active duty and with respect to extension of enlistments and other periods of service in the armed forces on October 23, 1962. Executive Order 11,059 designating public international organizations entitled to enjoy certain privileges, exemptions, and immunities on October 23, 1962. Executive Order 11,060, prescribing certain regulations and delegating to the Attorney General certain authority of the President to prescribe other regulations relating to the recovery from tortiously liable third persons of the cost of hospital and medical care and treatment furnished by the United States on November 7, 1962. Executive Order 11,061, Mrs. Anna Eleanor Roosevelt on November 8, 1962. Executive Order 11,062, Amendment of Executive Order Number 10,480, relating to the administration of the Defense Mobilization Program, so as to designate the Department of Defense as a loan guaranteeing agency on November 19, 1962. Executive Order 11,063, Equal Opportunity in Housing on November 20, 1962. Executive Order 10,164, excusing federal employees from duty on December 24, 1962. On November 21, 1962. Executive Order 11,065, inspection of income, excess profits, estate, and gift tax returns by the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations on November 21, 1962. Executive Order 11,066, including certain tracts of land in the Cherokee and Jefferson National Forests in Tennessee and Virginia on November 27, 1962. Executive Order 11,067, including certain tracts of land in the Nantahala and Cherokee National Forests, respectively, on November 27, 1962. Executive Order 11,068. Creating a board of inquiry to report on a labor dispute affecting the ballistics missile, space vehicle, and military aircraft industry on November 28, 1962. Executive Order 11,069, amending Executive Order Number 11,017 so as to designate the Secretary of Commerce as a member of the Recreation Advisory Council on November 28, 1962. Executive Order 11,070 amendment of the list of communicable diseases contained in Executive Order number 9,708 of March 26, 1946, as amended by Executive Order number 10,532 of May 28, 1954 on December 12, 1962. Executive Order 11,071, designation of certain foreign countries as economically less developed countries for purposes of the Revenue Act of 1962 on December 27, 1962. Executive Order 11,072, extending the exterior boundaries of the Superior National Forest in Minnesota and the Clark National Forest in Missouri on December 28, 1962.
Pauline's Pizza, where we deliver happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
Ah, I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Hi, I'm Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at Da Bomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search Da Bomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your
62.
brand.
My fellow Americans, let's take a moment to step back in time to a year that tested our courage, demanded our leadership, and revealed the soul of our nation. 1962. President John F. Kennedy sat where I do now, facing global tensions, civil rights unrest, and a Cold War that hung like a storm cloud over every American home. That year, JFK issued a series of executive orders, 73 of them, that helped shape our future. Not just policies, but blueprints for progress. Some of them echoed quietly, others rang loudly across decades. Now here's the thing about executive orders. They're not just government paperwork. They're instruments of momentum. They tell the government, go do this, and do it now. Let's look at 10 of the most impactful executive orders from 1962, ones that influenced that pivotal year and still carry weight in our present day. Number 1, Executive Order 11,063, Equal Opportunity in Housing. This was a landmark move against segregation in federally funded housing. It was the first real federal push to say, discrimination has no place in the American home. It laid the foundation for the Fair Housing Act, and today we continue to build on that promise. Number 2, Executive Order 11,030, Standardizing Executive Order Process. Kennedy gave structure to how executive orders are drafted, reviewed, and published. That standardization helped every president after him, including me, ensure transparency and consistency in how we use this powerful tool. Number 3, Executive Order 11,051, Emergency Preparedness and National Continuity. This was about safeguarding the Republic. In the event of disaster, the government had to go on. EO 11,051 laid the groundwork for national emergency planning, what we now call continuity of government. The seeds of Homeland Security, FEMA, and crisis protocols trace back here. Number 4, Executive Order 11,041, Continuance of the Peace Corps. JFK believed in service, and the Peace Corps became his calling card to the world. This order ensured its ongoing structure under the Department of State. To this day, young Americans still serve around the globe because of this framework. Number 5, Executive Order 11,000 through 11,005, Emergency Powers to Cabinet Agencies. In a tense Cold War climate, these orders distributed emergency preparedness authority to key federal departments, labor, health, commerce, agriculture, and others, While controversial in later years, they became the skeletal system of our emergency response planning. Number 6, Executive Order 11,017, establishing the Recreation Advisory Council. You may not think of national parks when you hear executive order, but this one advanced America's conservation mission. It promoted outdoor recreation and environmental planning, a step that ripples through every climate initiative today. Number 7, Executive Order 11,059, Diplomatic Immunity for International Organizations. This EO helped solidify protections and privileges for global diplomatic institutions operating in the U.S. It wasn't glamorous, but it was necessary to sustain global cooperation. Number 8, Executive Order 11,046, Bronze Star Medal. This order clarified eligibility and authorization for awarding the Bronze Star Medal. It reaffirmed our commitment to honor those who display heroism or merit in service, and it expanded access to recognition for those who earned it. Number 9, Executive Order 11,014, Participation in the New York World's Fair. On the surface, it might sound like PR, but it was strategic. This fair was our Cold War stage. Through culture, innovation, and presentation, we showed the world what America stood for: freedom, ingenuity, and democracy. Number 10, Executive Order 11,061, in honor of Eleanor Roosevelt. A deeply personal moment. This EO allowed federal facilities and documentation to reflect the significance of Eleanor Roosevelt's passing. She was a giant in human rights and civil progress. Her influence endures today. Now let's zoom out a bit. Globally, we faced the Cuban Missile Crisis. October 1962, 13 days that shook the world. It was the closest we ever came to nuclear war. But because of deliberate diplomacy, because of JFK's restraint, we stepped back from the brink. Domestically, the University of Mississippi was integrated. James Meredith walked through those gates under the protection of U.S. Marshals. It wasn't just a legal act, it was a moral stance. That same year, John Glenn orbited the Earth, the first American to do so. From Mississippi to the moonshot, we were pushing the boundaries of justice and of science. And on the cultural front, Dylan sang Truth, Marilyn sang Happy Birthday, and in Liverpool, a band called the Beatles made their debut. The world was changing, fast. So why does 1962 matter now? Because it taught us that power must be guided by principle, that courage isn't only found in battlefields or space capsules, but in housing policy, executive reform, and moral leadership. Kennedy didn't just manage crises, he confronted the deeper questions of who we were and who we could become. We owe it to that legacy not to coast on memory, but to act in its spirit. In 1962, we took steps forward. In 2025, let's take strides. Thank you.
Some write history with blood, some with laws, but the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool, it's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it, we live it, they order it, we obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering, from the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Porter can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.